Daniel Dennett, filósofo estadounidense. Es uno de los filósofos de la ciencia más destacados en el ámbito de las ciencias cognitivas, especialmente en el estudio de la inteligencia artificial y de la memética. También son importantes sus aportaciones acerca de la significación actual del darwinismo. Daniel Dennett, considerado por muchos el filósofo más influyente del mundo, aborda grandes temas como la naturaleza de la conciencia, el libre albedrío, la evolución y la religión. Daniel Dennett es autor de Breaking the Spell, Freedom Evolves y Darwin's Dangerous Idea, entre otros.
Bienvenidos a un programa especial de Dialogando con la Ciudad de las Ideas. Hoy una de las mentes más polémicas, más provocadoras, más talentosas, pero sin duda alguna más prestigiada en el mundo actual de la filosofía occidental, Daniel Dennett. Una persona que se ha involucrado en entender la conciencia, pero con conocimientos del siglo XXI, entendiendo las grandes preguntas, aunque no siempre ofreciendo las grandes respuestas. Daniel Dennett nos va a provocar. Es una persona que se involucra con la religión, con Dios, con la libertad, con lo humano, con el aquí y el ahora, con la vida antes y después de la muerte. Daniel Dennett, en el Museo de Historia Natural, nos invita a no creernos todo lo que pensamos. Quédese con nosotros. Muchas gracias. Truly an honor to be with you.
I'm delighted to talk with you today.
Thank you very much to be in Idea City, our program.
Yes.
When I make the introduction about yourself, of course I mentioned that you were a kind of Renacentist. Del Renacimiento, you know, because you're involved in everything, but in a very deeply way, which I do admire a lot. And the people that have read your books, of course, with most of us, I think, you make us always think, and not to believe everything we have been thinking about. Mm-hmm. Based on that, I would like to ask you, because there are so many topics to talk with you, I would like to play a game. It's not like the game that you talk in Darwin's Dangerous Idea, in this great book that we strongly recommend.
I think the game is in the other book.
It's in this one. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You're right. En este libro, me equivoqué del libro, en las primeras páginas, el profesor Daniel Dennett hace un juego donde saca una persona de un grupo y le dicen que tiene que tratar de adivinar el sueño de un grupo de gente. Pero lo que no sabe la persona que sacan es que cada vez que él hace una pregunta que termina con una letra entre la A y la P, le van a contestar que sí, y entre la P y la Z que no. Pero hay una regla, there is a rule. Si hace una pregunta que termine con P y que se contradiga con otra que terminará con S, allí siempre la gente utiliza la congruencia. Well, this is a kind of game like that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I will say a letter. I will start with the letter A. And I will keep telling myself the alphabet in Spanish. You tell me stop, and there will be a question.
Okay.
A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. The letter is K. K. Pero say, if you could have 1 minute to tell us what do you think about ¿qué significa inteligencia cinética? Kinetic intelligence.
Kinetic intelligence. Oh, I see. It's got a K in it, yes. When people first tried to do artificial intelligence, they had the idea that what knowledge is a lot of facts, and all you have to do is make a program which has all the facts in it, and then it can be a theorem prover, and we could have what we might call the walking encyclopedia. This would be a robot which did everything by consulting this great list of facts and proving things about where to put the foot next and how to step and how far is it to the grocery store and so forth. It didn't take all that long for people to realize that this is just not the way to do business. That there's a sort of implicit, tacit intelligence that is bodily, that it takes advantage of the physics of the body, that uses time in very subtle ways. If you want to make a robot that can actually survive, it better have this kind of intelligence. This is a can-do. This is a behavioral intelligence rather than just a lot of facts.
Creo que si hay un ser superior en el cual nos refugiamos la mayoría de personas cuando nos encontramos en situaciones difíciles.
Para mí Dios es básicamente, no sé, es ese como ente, esa energía que tiene que estar en tu vida presente.
Es para mí significa todo, ya que con Dios todo y sin Dios nada.
Para mí realmente Dios está más allá de cualquier religión. Es algo superior, algo supremo, es el todo.
Well, following this game, I will just keep one because I really want to listen your opinion about God.
Okay.
Theism. Can we go directly to the G just for this occasion?
Sure.
Tell me.
Let's go.
What's your thesis about it? You know, we know that you say that you believe in the people that believes, in a way, but
I think that if we look at the history of religions, first of all, we see that religion has evolved more in the last 100 years than it did in the last 2,000 years. And I think ever since the 17th century, religion has had to adjust itself to be credible, and it has had to create new principles of faith and new ideas. And what we've seen is that the concept of God has undergone quite a change. And God has become less and less anthropomorphic, more and more just a non-human-like wonderfulness in the world. And sometimes some theologians make that very clear. And if you're someone like Paul Tillich, then God is just the ground of all being. I don't know, maybe if that's what God is, then maybe I believe in God because maybe that's quarks or maybe natural selection. Maybe that's what God is. So I think we see that in order to preserve itself, in order to keep going, in order to not to go extinct, religions have had to evolve farther and farther away from the original, from the God of the Old Testament, of the Torah, for instance. That's male, very human, many human emotions, anger, jealousy. It's a big guy in the sky. And we see fossil traces of that idea of God everywhere, in our humor, but also in our religious art, in our themes. But people have been moving away from that for a long time.
just to finish with this brief segment, in your perspective, how do you explain the origin of everything?
I don't think I can explain the origin of everything. And I don't think religion can. And maybe science can make some real progress on this. I can imagine that cosmology will converge with some very clever experiments that we can't even conceive of now, and rule out some theories and make some more and more plausible. So we may learn more and more about the ultimate origins of the universe, or we may not. I don't think it does any good to just invent an explanation. I could do it.
It's really an honor to be with you, Professor DENNETT. We will keep doing this. I will start now with the B, because the letter A was related with God, with atheism, agnosticism, etc. B. Okay. I will say the letter is H. Hallucinations, are they possible?
Hallucinations have fascinated me for years. And every now and then I would come across an account of a hallucination that I found just frankly incredible. I thought, this this is too much. And I can't think, what is too much? And I think the answer to that comes from the sense that hallucination is possible only to the extent that the subject of the hallucination, the person who experiences the hallucination, has to be either extremely passive as an experiencer, or tricked into pursuing a particular experimental path. And the reason for this is very simple. Well, think about virtual reality, these helmets you wear. I just had one on the other day. It has two little cameras, and you put it on your head, and then you think you're in this sort of cartoony world. Of course, you know immediately that you're in a virtual world. You're not fooled. It doesn't seem to be the real world, because the texture, the resolution is too coarse. But moreover, it's not, you can't reach out and touch things, and you can't smell them, and if you go like this, they don't make a sound. All the information that we can take in is an incredibly rich stream of information, a bit stream, very broad band bit stream. If that had to be created falsely, it would just be computationally too expensive for the brain to do.
Okay, I will keep going. E.
Stop.
S. The word S. Here I have two questions. You can choose one of both with the S. Science. Could there be a science of memetics? I will explain later what memetics is. Or question two, and you choose, seeing is believing?
Yeah. Let's look at the science of memetics. There can be perfectly real phenomena that just do not lend themselves to experimental science very well. There isn't right now a science of clouds. There's meteorology, but clouds, individual clouds, they come and go. They're too amorphous. There's no cloudology. There's meteorology. That doesn't mean that there aren't clouds. Are there memes? Yes, of course there are. Memes are self-replicating cultural items. The best example of memes is just words. Think about, what is a word made of? What is it? I mean, is it a physical thing? Is it made of sound? Is it made of ink? It's
an idea, a concept.
It's an abstraction. It has physical properties in its instantiations, but a word is actually a data structure. It's made out of information. Do words exist? Of course. Can we have a science of words? Yeah, linguistics. We can have several sciences of linguistics. We can have historical, sort of evolutionary linguistics, and we can have computational linguistics, and linguistics looking at how languages, how can I speak and how can you understand? Now, a science of memetics would do for all memes what linguistics does for words.
Here I have a question in terms of what in memes could mean evolution, could mean actual improvement, because one thing is that probably the fittest word or the fittest meme could survive against others because it's a much more efficient way to say something, but not because it's really a good idea. So how do you work with that?
The first principle that everybody needs to understand about memes